It's phase 2 of the shack installation in the 8-ton Radio Go box. Next on the Travelin Ham. Let's go. Hi, my name's Mike. I'm a full-time traveler and ham radio operator. I activate amazing parks all over the United States. Join the adventure and see what's next.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
That traveler has
I just do things.
This is a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.
Hey radio friends, Kilo Echo Zero, Victor India Mike. This is the Travelin Ham. We're going to continue on our station build today. We're now into phase 2. Phase 1 basically got it into a workable condition. It got the laptop stand installed as well as the radio face stand installed. You can see I've done a couple other things since the last video. One, I've installed a mouse shelf here, so I now have a usable mouse at an ergonomic level. But the bigger change is we got another monitor mounted here. This is a Montech mount, and it is attached to the backing right here. As you can tell, it's fully articulating. It can go down quite a bit, almost to the level of the laptop. It can go up. Looks like that's its maximum height right there. I tend to have it about right here. That's a good elevation. It's a good eye elevation while I'm sitting here. And it allows for me to see out the window as well and for some airflow to come in. What we want to do today, I've got another shelf that I was part of my original build that's going to go in kind of right behind all this stuff, all the way across the full width here, and that's going to be what I set my handhelds on to charge. I need to adjust how this is set up. I have it mounted down here to the bottom, the battery shelf, and it's just not quite tall enough. As you can see, it could come up a little bit, and I think I'm going to need to move it, have it lean out some anyway to allow for this shelf to kind of go behind it. As it is, it's going to be pretty tight, and I think I'm going to get a conflict there. So then I'll have to move the lower leg out a little bit, which will have the effect of lowering how high these can sit. And I don't want them any lower than they are. I'd like to have them a little higher. So I think what I'm going to have to do is remount this up on the wall here between my two radios. And I'll have to see what that means for my 891 attaching it there. So I'm going to have to think through that a little bit, but I'd like to get it mounted up on the wall so I can get it up a little bit higher. Phase 2, here we go. Okay, I got most of this stuff out of the way here. I think I'm going to have to move this laptop stand too, but I can just undo that little lever there, and he comes out just like that, slick as a whistle. Now I got better access to put in this guy. So this is my shelf that is just wide enough for my charging bases, the cradles, to set in there. I have not tried dry fitting this yet, but that's where he's going to sit, just like so. So it's going to sit right here. It also acts as a dust cover for the radios. A decent amount of dust comes in through this window, and I don't love that my radios are sitting here face up into it. There's some dust on the surface there, so that's pretty bad. So this will be a cover for that. This thing is going to get really dusty. It's black, especially at the texture of my mouse shelf. I mean, you can probably see the difference right there of this being installed for a couple weeks and how dusty it gets. I'm going to need my own Swiffer in here. I'm also going to put in, I've decided, a little shelf right here. Or I'll probably have a radius to it. It'll be like a quarter circle, and it'll sit here. It'll rest on top of this, and it'll rest on this edge right here. And then I think in the future I'll get another monitor and monitor stand that I can set right here, and it can set down low enough, you know, it'll fit in this space right here such that this door can still open and go over with it in its normal down position. And if I want to raise it, I can. Apologize if the camera is wobbling a little bit. It's just sitting there on the bed, kind of balanced up there. All right, let's get a starter hole here. Have to drill down at an angle. What you doing? Just want to be able to get it in there and go down at an angle. And just got some drywall screws I'm using here, all-purpose screw as far as I'm concerned. All right, level's looking good. This drilled in down here too. Something I can get to easy. Okay. Remember to countersink that a little bit. So we got a racing team outside testing again today. They got some kind of event here next month at this site. Guessing that's what they're preparing for. All right, this should level them up there. Very good. Then the most solid designed shelf ever, but it's not going to have hardly any weight on it. So all should be well there. I think I'll put a couple more screws in though. Where'd I put my drill bit? Flashlight, screws. Man, I can put some stuff down in some silly places. There he is. That was a silly place. If I decided at a later date I'd like some extra rigidity, I could add some angle brackets underneath here. Now I did forget something in doing all this. It's probably okay, but I did get an extra support for the television for traveling. So I don't really want this whole rig bouncing around while he's traveling. I'd like it to be able just to come all the way down. And then I got this bracket. I would love to strap it onto this bracket so it doesn't bounce around, and that's above the shelf, so that's great. So I might have it like so, and so that can take some of the weight, but boy, it doesn't, not much of it sits on it. I guess it could be enough, just so the entire weight of the television is not on. I could even put it up a little bit higher so this isn't all the way down. I could have it like so, just so as we're bouncing going down the road, you know, this bracket is taking a lot of the load and the mounting arm is not. Figuring all this stuff out one step at a time. I guess I could go ahead and put this in. Then the question is, how will he strap down? I guess I want it right underneath the center part, and I can run a strap from the mount down to this. Now, that's more I want right there. So maybe like so. I even bought some little felt feet for him to sit on. Oh boy, I've lost my drill bit again. Yep, there it is, same place. And again, that's going back into that 3/4 inch, well, maybe a 1/2 inch. I don't remember what it was. I got a sheet of plywood mounted back to the wall here. That's what this is screwing into. We got plenty of wood in there to grip. Not quite that fast. Let's not get crazy here. There we go. Monitor bracket installed. Now I got to make a decision about the radio face stand. That's going to have a little bit of a conflict with the radios I have mounted here, which I think you can see right there now. It's going to have to go right in the middle. And the downside to that is I got these two screws I got to get to, the bolts I got to get to for the 891, and then the actuating button for the releasing the FTM 6000s right there in the same place. So I'm just not wild about putting that there. Let's see if I can think of something else. What I've decided to do is I am going to take this mount. This is the base that the whole arm sits on. I need to do a better job of showing this whole piece, don't I? So this is the part that bolts to your vehicle, to your vehicle seat. This sets in right on top of it then, and then this clamp, you fold it over and then it locks it in. The cool thing is you can undo this clamp and just lift it out, and this piece can stay. So removing this big apparatus is not very difficult. It's mostly just unhooking wires, but I've decided to move it from here. I was thinking of here, but then I've got all kinds of conflicts with taking these radios out. I'm going to move it all the way up here, so this arm will be coming straight out, or maybe even down a little bit. We'll see how that works for getting the height adjusted where I want it. But that's what I think I'm going to try. So then it's up plenty high and doesn't interfere with anything I need to do here. And if for whatever reason I can't get the height and position set right, I could drop this a little bit to see if that works a little better. And then I'm just covering up the ugly hole with this piece. So that's what I'm going to try. I already got a pilot hole in place. I think I can just drill it through with this. Don't have to go very far. There we go. I'll get this started with the ratchet. That guy in place, tighten him down. Okay, and he's in there nice and solid. Now, this guy, that's got to go on top, doesn't it? That's tricky. Do I have him so close I'm not going to be able to actuate the clamp because I have it so high? It kind of seems that way. Can I flip it around and do it this way? I got all my faces facing the wrong way now. But I can rotate that, I believe. Can I turn this whole base? Oh yeah, okay. So many things to manipulate. You know, it's, like I said, these things are great. They're a lot of fiddling. You just got to give it some time to really fiddle with things and get it right. Okay? Now, tighten that bolt a little bit before I can try to clamp it shut. I already see an issue in that now it's got to be facing out this way. So it's going to be right in here somewhere. I'm not going to be able to manipulate it back there unless I turn this whole base like so. And then I can move him back. Lots of fiddling. I can spin it on the clamp easily. And that puts my clamp in a spot I might be able to clamp it. Okay. Now let's get this rotated up. Maybe as high as it can go. Okay. Maybe that like so. Okay, that's at least giving me some hope there that I'll be able to get that about right from that spot. My least favorite bit about this whole idea is now all this weight is just on this bolt right here as it's going down the road. This thing's going to bounce like crazy. I don't love that. I mean, I'm sure it vibrates anyway, but I'd rather it be sitting flat on something as opposed to coming out at an angle like that. But hey, that gives me the adjustability I need where I want it. Okay, so we got the radio shelf. We got this guy moved. I need to clean all this crap up and actually move the stuff in that belongs here. All right, folks. And there it all sits. I got all my handhelds here charging. And I got my big lithium iron phosphates down here. The charger's resting right here. This guy is, he's actually charged now, so I can charge a different battery. So I can just switch these around now that he's done. Plug the 9 amp hour into the FT891. We'll charge up the 15 amp hour battery. So that'll be a little more of a task once we get this shelf in right here, but I think I'm just going to run with it like this here for a little while and see how it works. Huge mess of wires right now, even with some effort to organize it. That's going to take some time and little adjustments here and there to kind of manage this rat's nest. That's what we'll do going forward. We'll just kind of gradually iron all this stuff out. Get it to where it's a pretty good looking space. But there it is. That's phase 2, reasonably complete. The radio station and the 8-ton radio go box. I'm Mike, Kilo Echo Zero, Victor, India Mike. This is the Travelin Ham. See you next time. Okay, folks, here's the deal. I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. This is gonna be a special one of the most intense trails. This is the operating station. That's a bear.
Wow. Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
The traveler has
I just do things.
He was a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.